Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Wellness and Recovery series. Today is Thursday, and it's our final presentation of week 3, which we're very excited about. We got 2 weeks left, so make sure that you have joined our Eventbrite, and so you can stay up to date on what's coming up in the next week and the week after, and be eligible to win gifts and prizes like awesome t-shirts and swag with our art on it and things like that. But I want to welcome you today to the Lived Experience panel. We have 2 people with us today, Yvonne Guido and Charlene Juan. Yvonne is a certified substance use disorder counselor for Two Feathers Native American Family Services. In her current position, she is serving youth in the Hoopa schools and families on the coast. She's been working in the field for 11 plus years. Yvonne is a Karuk tribal member and has 13 years of recovery. She's a wife, mother of 4, and a grandmother of 3. And her passion is helping others find their path to recovery, finding others to help others find their path, probably too. Charlene Juan is 16 years old and a junior in high school. She's 9 months clean. She's Pima and Hoopa. And her goal in life is to show people that there's a better way to live and you don't have to let your trauma, feelings, and fears hold you back. So just a reminder that if you have any questions today, everyone is muted and only the presenters are able to talk, but there are chat boxes in the Zoom. And also if you are on Facebook, you can put questions in the chat. We have people watching those. So there is about a 45-second delay between real life and Facebook. So that, I don't know why, but there is. So just be aware of that. So we have a few just things to go through before we bring our presenters on. We want to remind people that this is a place for respect and kindness. These things are key. If it's a persistent issue, if you are not showing respect and kindness, we'll ask you to leave or kick you out of the Zoom. And please show tolerance and sensitivity for differences. All of our participants, both online and in real life, they come from different cultural, racial, I'm having a problem talking today, different cultural, racial, gender, and sexually oriented backgrounds. Please be aware and be sensitive of judgmental comments. Stay away from using languages that include racial, homophobic, or degrading remarks. Stay positive, use positive language. This is a safe space, it's free of judgment. It's okay to disagree with each other's opinions, but don't put each other down for it. This is a space where participants should feel comfortable being themselves, sharing their thoughts and ideas without any worry of punishment or judgment. Because this is a space where stories might come up for you, the listeners, and if you want to share a story, that's great, you can, but please only share your own story, or if you're sharing someone else's, leave their name out of it. We want to make sure that we're protecting people's anonymity and privacy, and so you can say like, I know someone who, or things like that. And you have the opportunity to ask for questions or clarification at any time. That's what the chat boxes are for. So if there's something that you want clarification on or you want to go deeper on, please feel free to use those chat boxes and we will get to you as soon as possible. So these are pretty heavy topics that we're going to be talking about today. So if this triggers something for you and or you just want to talk to somebody afterwards, we have these mental health outreach lines for you. So there's the Del Norte Mental Health line, which is 707-464-7224, or the 24-hour crisis line, which always has someone available to talk to you. And that is 1-888-446-4408. And feel free to call these at any time, but we know that these are some heavy topics that we're talking about. So we want to make sure people had those resources available to them. Again, because we're going to be on Facebook Live, we just want to remind you to please protect people's anonymity and that everyone's participation in this is completely voluntary, and this is your informed consent about today. So if you are consenting to be here, you are a part of this. So last but of course not least, we want to acknowledge that we're meeting virtually across many Indigenous lands. The Talawadeni, Yurok, Karuk, Hoopa and Wiyot, as well as many rancherias, Elk Valley, Rezaghini, Big Lagoon, Trinidad, Blue Lake, Table Bluff, and Ronerville. If you're outside the Humboldt-Donor area, please take a moment to acknowledge the indigenous lands that you are occupying right now. And you can look those up pretty easily and get to know who the indigenous people of your lands are. We want to honor these indigenous peoples who live together and care for this land and each other since time immemorial. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have been stewards of this land for generations. We know the effects of colonization have impacted indigenous peoples disproportionately, and we hope that through this series we can learn together and help heal and work towards a healthy future. So before I bring my presenters on, I'm just going to remind you guys of our links here. With our Facebook page, our website, and our Eventbrite page. And Eventbrite is where you're going to want to go to register and get eligible for prizes. And also to be eligible, you need to fill in an eval for all these great presentations that we're going to. So go ahead and we'll put that link in the chat towards the end so that you can fill out the eval. With that, I'm going to go ahead and ask my presenters to go ahead and come on. Share your screen, or not your screen, your video. Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity. I did your little bio introduction, but I just want to give you a chance to introduce yourselves. So Yvonne, you want to go first?
Hi, everybody. My name's Yvonne Guido, and I'm nervous, but I'm also very excited to be speaking today with my buddy, Charlene.
Nice. Thank you for being here. Charlene.
My name is Charlene Juan, and I'm excited but also nervous too, and yeah.
So don't think about all those other people out there. We're just having a conversation. So I'll do my best to help you guys through this and help bring those nerves down a little bit. I'm always nervous too, but I just try and work through it. So first question I want to ask is, why is it so important for us to talk about substance use disorder? Why is this something that's urgent in our community? And if we don't talk about it, what do you think is going to happen? And Yvonne, I'm going to start with you.
Perfect. So I was just reading an article this morning. We have a new, I guess there's a new treatment center that opened up today for opiates. And in that article, it was talking about Humboldt County has an overdose rate of 5 times higher than the state's average. So why is it important to talk about, opiates, substance use? Because it's happening and we can't keep it a secret. Coming on here today was, I need to share my story. I need people to talk more about it because when I was in active addiction, I had no idea that there was help out there.
Yeah, thank you. Charlene.
I think it's important to talk about because it is a problem, and I think if we don't talk about it, then it's just gonna get worse. And I think people need to be educated on it too. And
great, and that's what we're hoping to do today, is educate some people a little bit. So we're going to talk a lot about and break down what addiction looks like, but off the top of your head, what is that main thing that you wish people understood about addiction and the road to recovery?
I think the biggest thing, I get asked this a lot, from family members that have no idea what addiction is and why people can't just stop, it's a choice to use or whatever. I think it's important. I just think it's important to get the word out there. And for those people that are still in active addiction to reach out, not feel like they're not worthy, like there's no hope. A lot of people are stuck in that hopelessness, and, there's a lot of us out here willing to help.
I wish people knew.
There's that idea addiction is a moral. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I wish people knew how hard it is to get clean, and how Yvonne was saying, you can't, it's not really a choice, I guess. It's really hard to stop, and you have to put a lot of work into your recovery, and you can't, it's hard, but I think over time it does get easier. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of myths out there, right? That people kind of choose addiction that it's because they're not strong enough or they don't have enough moral character, right? So there's kind of this, you're both saying that it's not a choice, right? It's something that, and it's prevalent and it's hard to kick. It's a hard thing to move into recovery.
Absolutely. And, in our communities, a lot of it is generational too. Grandparents, parents, and then it gets passed down to the kids and the grandkids. We have to learn how to break that cycle.
And once you do start using, and you become an addict, you can't just, addiction doesn't just go away. You have it with you for the rest of your life, and you can't forget that, because I think if you do, you'll just slip back into that mind state, and you probably will start using again.
Right. So the road to recovery isn't a destination, it's a journey, right?
100%.
It's something that you're always going to be dealing with. So speaking of journeys, I want to hear a little bit about your guys' journeys and kind of how did you start using your drug of choice and how did that affect your life and those around you? And Charlene, do you mind going first? Because I know Yvonne has visuals and I don't want you to have to follow that up.
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, I lived with my grandma till I was about 6, and my mom went missing that year, and I ended up being taken from my grandma's care and put in with my cousins. And I think I put that blame on myself, it was my fault that all that happened. And so, I hated myself for that, and a bunch of other things, And as I got older, I started to, around 12 or 13, I started to smoke pot and, drink. And I would do it before school, and sometimes I would, bring it to school with me. And, to just cover up the pain that I had. And my mom caught me one time while I was smoking before school, and I got in trouble, and I couldn't go to school that day. And I started to, I was stealing from stores and stuff, and I ended up being caught at Winco. And I got in trouble. Well, I was in trouble, but when we got home, I ran away. And after that, I just kept running away because I didn't want to deal with the consequences of my actions, And I ended up, my parents decided they didn't know what to do anymore, and so I moved up here to Washington to live with my sisters, and because they work with troubled youth, and so they thought that was the best place for me. And I lived with them for about a year, and I wasn't the best kid, I only cared about myself, and I was really self-absorbed. I still am, but I'm working on it. And we came down to visit California, and I ended up trying to run away, and I got sent to juvie for 3 days. Yeah, that was not fun. And I ended up moving back down to California a couple months after that, and I moved in with my dad because we just got a paternity test for him, and I was like, well, I don't like it here, so I'm going to move in with him instead. And that was not a very good decision for me because I started, me and my friend, well, she's my cousin, I had money, and so we decided that we were going to buy a bag of meth, and we did that, and for about a week we had it, and I'm not gonna lie, it was an awesome feeling for me. I didn't have to deal with all of my feelings that I had, or pain, and we were bonding over like meth, you know, like, and me and my sister, like, we went and partied with these people, my cousin, like a different cousin, and her boyfriend and his friend, and they're in their 30s, like the guys are in their 30s, and they do meth, and so like we were hanging out with them, and I started dating one of them, like, and that was really bad, and I was just doing meth every day and, like, you know, drinking and doing other stuff, and I stopped going to school, and it really sucked because when I tried to stop using, like, and I went back to school, I had to redo my whole entire, like, freshman year over again, and it was stressful, and I didn't want to do any of the work, but I did do it, and, you know, like, it's really hard to deal with all that stuff, and yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Church. So how old were you? You said about like 12 when you first started using?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
And
9 months clean now and you're 16?
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
You'll be one of those people too, and like you'll be like 45 years clean. So starting early on that road to recovery, which is good because that means you've figured it out early and you haven't had to like go down that path for a really long time to get before you're able to kind of turn things around for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the positive things. You're not 45 and have been doing it since you're 12, so that's good. I'm 45. That's why I say that number. So Yvonne, how about you? And let me know when you want your visuals.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can start off with the picture.
Okay. All right, there you go.
There I am. So this was me in 1968, I'm assuming. That little girl had no idea that she was gonna ever turn into an addict. I grew up in I don't know. I had a mom, I had a dad. My dad was definitely an alcoholic. My mom was a homemaker. I have some siblings. And I think for me, my mom is Native American. My father is not Native American. I didn't start, well, I like experimented with drugs. I think the first time was like 11. You know, I had smoked cigarettes and then I tried alcohol and then I tried marijuana. It didn't really become a problem until, you know, my second failed marriage. And I had given up hope. And you can go ahead and go to my next slide. I'd given up hope. I came back to Humboldt County. I left my children. I have 4 children. I left them in Colorado. And I came back here and started using meth. My drug of choice ended up being heroin at the end because, you know, addiction morphs. Whatever was broken inside of me, and looking back over my life now, I think it's because as a young little girl, I didn't feel like I fit in, like anywhere. I was like too light to fit in with the natives, and I thought I was too white to fit in with, you know, the other side of my family. I just didn't feel like a sense of belonging. In school, I struggled. Yeah, so looking back on my addiction, I think it's because I just didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't know who I was. So like I said, I turned to heroin because the meth stopped working. The heroin took away all the feelings. I didn't have to think. I didn't have to feel bad for leaving my kids. I didn't have to feel anything. And this is my son, James, right here. And I think the turning point, looking back after I went to treatment, my 2 younger boys were in a car wreck and my son passed away. It was a single car wreck. he was 16. My older son was 18. That was February 18th of 06. Task force ended up raiding the house that I was in on February 1st of 07. While I was in treatment telling my story, it dawned on me that that was my son. Like, okay, Mom, it's time for something to change. And like, I owe my recovery. Like, I did a lot of hard work, but I give it to my son because the only way I could wrap my brain around losing a child was like he left in order for me to save my life. And you could go to the next beautiful picture. So this was me in 2007, 2006, 2007. This is my last booking photo, and you can see that person right there. She didn't have any hope. She felt worthless. She felt unworthy. She felt ugly. She didn't have a purpose. You know, the shame of leaving her children, not being there for her kids. I was given the opportunity to either go to prison or get treatment. And I didn't even know that treatment existed. I had no idea. So I was sent to a local recovery center, Crossroads, and I got clean. I was also introduced to, like I was talking about, not feeling like I belonged. While I was in treatment, I was introduced to sweat lodge ceremonies, and that sparked something inside of me. And that's where that whole, like, I was able to see, like, there is some hope out there. I didn't have a belief system in God or creator or anything, but sweat introduced that to me. And so change started happening. You can go ahead and go to the next one. Today, after a lot of hard work, you know, I did treatment. I went to outside meetings. I started going to sweat lodges. Like, that was my new addiction. I learned how to pray, you know. Like I said, none of my kids were in my life. Through prayer, you know, I kept asking for my kids to be returned. My daughter came back to me. My two older boys are still living in Colorado. I've been able to get married. So today I'm a wife to an amazing man, Mr. Guido. Today I'm present in my kids' lives. I'm a mom today. You can go ahead and do the next one. I'm a grandma. I am a daughter today. And part of my story, you know, I talked a little bit about the generational stuff, you know, addictions in my family. You know, my parents both had addiction. I got clean. My mother followed me right in, and her partner, David. So we have like about the same amount of clean time and a beautiful relationship today. I value my relationship with my mother. Yeah, next slide. And this is me today, you know, learning more about my culture, being present, you know, working in the community. Not that, you know, I'm really proud of where I am today as far as my relationships with my children, my grandchildren, my partner, my friends, my coworkers. But in the last year, I've like learned how to weave, you know, and my husband's mom has taught me this. And, you know, I was able to make baby rattles for my grandchildren. I'm just really blessed to be alive today. I'm, you know, by no way am I fully recovered, but there's like relapse is not an option for me. I can't disrespect my son's death by going back to that way of life. And I really hang on to that. You know, it's taken me through some really difficult times. There's like no way I can go back. and the friendships that I have with people inside the rooms, outside the rooms, inside our lodge, within our community. I can't do it without the help of everyone else. And I look forward to seeing what happens in the next 13 years. And thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll stop our share there. So you guys both touched a little bit about your journey to recovery, but I want to hear a little more specifics, especially things that made you decide you wanted to make a change, as well as what barriers you had to overcome. What were some of those stumbling blocks when you first started, or even along the way that you had to overcome on that journey to recovery?
Okay, I'll go. So I don't think I made the choice to get clean. Like I touched on a little bit, I didn't make the choice. Like, law enforcement helped motivate me towards change. I was not going to go to prison, you know. And the stumbling blocks along the way, like I said, it's difficult, is letting go of my friendships with people that I was using with. That was a huge challenge. I'm grateful to Crossroads for keeping me in that contained space and allowing me to stay there until I figured out how to maneuver the world. But that was one of my stumbling blocks, yeah.
Right, you share kind of this trauma bonding a little bit with people that you use with, and it's really hard when you try and go back out to like form new friendships, form new bonds with people in a different new way, right?
Yeah. Even having fun. Like I remember my first pass from treatment, I went with my roommate and we went down to the pump house and I'd used there, and it's like we're sitting in the truck and I'm like, now what do we do? Like I didn't even know how to have fun, you know. That was alien to me. So that, I guess, would be another stumbling block.
Right, were you realizing how to have fun without a substance?
Yeah.
Especially, you know, you look at what our modern society is. People go to bars, they drink a lot. There's a lot, that's social interaction for a lot of people, are those kind of things. So trying to navigate that while you're in recovery, but still feel like you're part of society.
Yeah, true.
And we don't look down, we don't be like, oh, well, I mean, when we do somewhat with alcoholism, but I think we allow a lot more for alcohol and things like that too, that we probably should look a lot closer at as a society.
It's true.
What were some things that supported you in your road to recovery? What were some of those things that really, like, especially when you were first starting out, like, were there, you said law enforcement for sure, like you were kind of forced into it, and, you know, and then giving it up to your son. Was there any other things that were like, oh, this is like, I had a unique opportunity, or somebody who was there?
Oh, I had my counselor at Crossroads, and I don't know if it's okay to say her name, so I'm not going to say her name.
Okay.
But
she knows who she is.
she knows who she is. She's not there any longer, but she is in the community, and she didn't let me get away with anything. Like, she held me accountable. She made me write a letter to my son, and that shifted like my whole thinking. Like, she pushed me. And then there's friendships. There was a woman that came into the treatment center, and she was always happy, and she was really involved in 12-step, and that gave me hope. So like the friendships that I gained through, you know, those support groups, and for me, like learning about my culture, you know, gave me a sense of belonging that was absent from my life for so long. I think that really helped me to be where I am today also.
Great. Thanks. All right, Charlene. So when did you decide it was time to make a change, and what was that like for you? And then kind of what were some of those stumbling blocks that you had in the beginning, or things that you had to overcome to start on that road?
Well, when I was like, you know, I would try to get clean, but like ended up going out with like some friends who are still using, and I would start using again because it was around, you know. And one day me and my grandma were, she was yelling about something, and it really made me mad because that's not how I felt about what she was yelling about. And so we got in this fight, and my uncles had to they had to break us up, and I ended up leaving, and and I didn't want to deal with that anymore, and it was just, it sucked because ever since I got taken from her, I just wanted to be in her life, I wanted to live with her, and so having all that stuff go on, it really sucked, and it hurt a lot, but yeah. And I went to school, and I talked to one of the ladies at school, and I got placed with my cousin instead. Yeah, and that was what opened up my eyes, I guess, And another time that happened was I was walking around downtown Hoopa, and it was late at night, and I went under the bridge, or I met up with this, I didn't meet up with him, he was just there, and we went under the bridge, and I was just what am I doing? What is going on? What the heck? And so I prayed, and I prayed to Creator and to my mom, and I think I ended up walking home, but I'm not sure because I don't really remember. But yeah, and so those things, those type of things that happened were opening up my eyes, I guess. But I don't think I did it alone. My friends helped me, and the Creator helped me, and I feel if they didn't help me, I would still be out there right now. Yeah.
How did your friends help you?
Well, they told me that I needed help because I was and they told me that right before I was gonna stop using, or I didn't know I was gonna stop using, but I did, and they were telling me we weren't gonna be friends with you anymore because you weren't stopping and you weren't listening to us, and I was what? Oh my gosh, wow. And I didn't realize how bad it was, and yeah, until it was done.
Right, and then retrospectively, and listening to your friend's point of view, you're I could have been living under that bridge in the next couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
You're headed towards that. So when you started, what were some of the things that your friends really helped you, but what were some other things that maybe were really helpful to keep you sticking to it in the beginning and get you to the right place where you can start that road to recovery?
Well, before I started living with my cousin, I was still smoking pot, and when you're in recovery, you don't use any substances, but people do still smoke cigarettes, and I don't think they should, but they do. Sorry, what was the question?
That's all right. Cigarettes just took your mind right out there. So what were some of the things that were really helpful in the beginning when you were getting started that helped you stick to it?
Okay. Well, and then I did move in with my cousin, and she told me the rule was that I didn't use anything, and so I didn't want to betray her trust, and so I didn't use anything, but I was still hanging out with the same friends who were still smoking, and I would be around that, and I don't know how I didn't not smoke with them, because at Captain John, at lunchtime, or you just go to the park and like the stoners smoke, you know, it's like normal and it's okay. And so that was like something that we did. But when I stopped living with her, I think it was Narcotics Anonymous helped me a lot. Like, and my sisters really, like, because of all the crap that I did while I was living with them before, I didn't want that to happen again, you know, like, and I realized how much they did for me, and, you know, I didn't want to hurt them anymore.
Yeah, so it sounds like your family and friend group were really influential on you for both those. Yeah. Awesome. So now that you guys are both in recovery now, one of our big things is reducing stigma. And stigma is like how people judge you or make assumptions about you based on something like addiction. So are you guys do you still face this stigma, and like how do you deal with you know, telling people that you're in recovery, or do you not tell people that you're in recovery? And how can we help bust some of those stigmas that are in ways that people look at people who are in recovery or suffered from addiction? I'll let you go first, Yvonne. Looks like Charlene's thinking.
You know, in the beginning, I definitely had the idea that people were looking at me in a ugly way, you know. As the years have gone on and the work that I've done, speaking at things like this, you know, blasting my beautiful mugshot, like, yeah, that was me. Like, yeah, I did that. That's how I get rid of that stigma that I may associate to my own choices, you know. That was me, but there's a huge strength in being able, like, look at Charlene. She's got 9 months clean. She's 16 years old. Like, she's breaking some barriers. It's an amazing thing. I think the more we have talks like this, the more we have this type of platform, the more people in recovery can get up and say, yeah, that was me, but this is me now. And I'm a strong person to walk through what I've been through and to be okay today. There's a huge strength in recovering people, huge strength. And to own that instead of like hold that ugliness, you know, that's how I like to reduce the stigma.
I think that's a good thing for all of us to think about, reducing the stigma. Somebody who's in recovery has come through the fire, right? And they have some strong will and some strong strength, and really in some understanding and empathy for adverse experiences, right?
Absolutely.
It's like they have a whole skill set that a lot of other people may not.
and I wish that more people in recovery would recognize that about themselves, you know, the strength, you know, that they have to walk through it.
Thank you. All right, Charlene, what about you?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I think one thing is, like, my sister, she works at a treatment center, and they have every year they have what is it called? I'm not sure. I can't remember what it's called, but the girls from the treatment center, they have this thing where they can get up and they can talk about their story, and it's really powerful, like, that they can do that. And you know, it made me cry, and like, because I related to some of those things that they were talking about, you know. And I think they are really strong and powerful, and you know, I think people need to hear that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Have you had people, do you tell people that you're in recovery? And how do people react to that when you do?
Yeah, I tell people I'm in recovery because I don't think I should be ashamed of it. Like, I think it does make me strong, and I'm proud of it, you know. But I the people I have told they are proud of me, and like they congratulate me, you know. And I guess I feel like I haven't faced any stigma, but I can be wrong. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you've had supportive people too, and and hopefully this will help encourage others to really embrace that part of themselves as well, and not be afraid to talk about it, the way that you both are bravely doing right now.
It's a big stigma, like in our Native communities, like substance use is so high, especially with our youth. Like I have the opportunity before COVID to work in, you know, in the school system, and the numbers are ridiculous. And so I'm like, was so proud that Charlene agreed to get on here and speak, coming from the Valley, you know, to show her peers that it is possible, you know. I'm just super blessed to be here with her. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Get all the kudos.
I'll get emotional.
It's all right. It's all right. All right. So we know that relapse happens with recovery, and there's things that you need to do to kind of make sure that you're staying well and that you're watching out for triggers. And how have you prepared yourself for that? What are some things that you do to keep yourself healthy and on that road? And what do you do when those triggers come up for you? And then I'm going to add this little bit on here because this was a question that was in the chat that relates to it. So especially during this lockdown time of Corona, like where you may not have access to some things that were your wellness activities before.
I can go first.
Okay.
Well, since we can't like be in the rooms for NA meetings, like they started to be on Zoom and stuff, and so I think that has really helped. But a lot of people I've heard have, you know, gone back out, and that really sucks and is scary, and I think can be intimidating at this time right now. But yeah, and I'm working the steps right now, and I'm on step 3, and yeah, and it's something to look forward to. I try to talk to my sponsor about stuff that's like bothering me, you know, and I think helping other people who are struggling is really fulfilling, and it makes you feel good. And reaching out to people, even though it is hard to do that, like sometimes I just want to sit and wallow in self-pity, you know, like because I don't want to deal with it, I guess, you know, but I can't do that, like, or else I feel like I'll just be stuck there, you know. But yeah, and I try to work out almost every day, but some days I'm really lazy to do that. But I try to make myself, you know, it helps a lot. My sisters say that they could tell the difference between like when I work out and when I don't work out. And when I deal with how I deal with my triggers is I try to sit with them, and sometimes it is hard to identify what may be causing it, but and they are really hard to deal with, but yeah, you just have to get used to it, I guess, and talk about it with someone.
So it sounds like people talking about it, social things are really what brings you that like wellness stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your next step in your recovery journey? You said you're on step 3. I don't know the 12 steps, so tell me. You can say step 4, but I don't know what that means necessarily. But like, where do you see yourself moving forward in this recovery journey?
Well, I hope to, you know, keep going on this path, you know, and to like put myself out there more and to like step into roles in the program, you know, like chair meetings sometimes, you know, and make more friends, because I have a hard time making friends in the program, but I do have some friends, and it's hard because like I think I'm shy, you know, and so that can be hard. And I have the step guide right here, but hold on. Step 3 is we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. But yeah, that's the step I'm working right now. And then step 4 is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And I'm really scared about that step, but it is exciting. Yeah.
Well, don't forget to include positive morals. Don't go down the dark path only, right? Yes.
I was so scared of step 4 too, but I think it took me like 2 years to do it. But when I finally did it, and 5 kind of coincides with it, because you got to share it with someone, your sponsor. It like so much just lifted off of me. So don't let that fear stop you. Just go for it. It's going to feel so good.
Awesome. All right, Yvonne, how about you? What are some of your wellness activities you've done? You do generally, and you talked a little bit about cultural activities, so you could bring that in, but like now that we're in lockdown, kind of how are you dealing with that too?
What a crazy world we live in right now. You know, it's a crazy world, and relapses are happening. You know, I work in the field. It's recovery isn't an I thing, it's like a we thing. You know, that's what I've always been taught. And so now that we're in this world where it's an I thing or a household thing, it's challenging for people in recovery. So I just want to put that out there, you know. So these Zoom meetings that we do, like at least we're seeing other faces and we can share with one another, you know. Shar talked about, you know, 12-step meetings. There's other types of meetings, groups, connection. Yeah, for me, like what kept me sane isn't doable right now, you know. So, you know, it's a challenge. So I talk to my friends. Pearsons must love me because I bought so many bags of dirt and flowers and vegetables, and you know, my yard's great. And so I spend a lot of time out there, and that's been, you know, keeping me balanced. I don't know, like I attended a women's group, and they gave us some really beautiful ideas. Like we're all missing ceremonies right now because they're not happening. You know, we look forward to the summer to attend our ceremonies, and it's not happening. And so she's having us identify, like, what do we miss about ceremony, and how can we bring that into our lives right now? What can we do to get that feeling? And so attending groups like that has been helpful. I like what Shar said too, is helping somebody else, you know, keeps me sane. I don't know, we've got beaches out there that we can walk on and rivers we can go to, you know. Triggers for me, they're a lot different. You know, it's just life stuff now. It's not like I instantly want to use, but I might not like how I'm feeling. So I have people that are my go-to people, my husband, my friends. So not keeping any of that stuff inside of me, you know. I don't know, reach out. Those of you that are out there still struggling, like there's ways you can get support. Just don't be afraid to reach out.
And what are your next steps on your recovery journey?
One day at a time. Keep doing what I'm doing.
It's working. Don't break.
Getting out of my comfort zone and speaking on this platform. Check that one off.
Check it. All right. So if there's people watching who are currently struggling with addiction, what is some advice that you would give them right now?
To ask for help, whatever that might look like. If you're local, I mean, there's treatment centers are taking you in. Reach out. Like, I didn't know, as for myself as a Native person, I didn't know about the different agencies that I could go to for help, you know. Pick up that 10,000-pound phone, you know, ask for help. Don't be afraid. Give yourself a chance. Forgive yourself.
That's a big one.
It's huge.
How about you, Charlene? What is a piece of advice you would give somebody who is struggling with addiction right now?
I would say to reach out and don't give up on yourself, and to still like hold on to that hope, you know. Yeah. And well, like Yvonne said, to forgive yourself, but I'm still struggling with that, and it is really hard to do that. Yeah.
The steps are going to help you.
Yeah. Oh, she disappeared. There she is. And to be honest, it's hard for all of us to forgive ourselves, right? We all carry kind of this negative voice in our heads, and we all need to work on that and be more supportive of ourselves and be our friend instead of our and our champion instead of our naysayer, right?
Absolutely. That was a good teaching from my auntie before she passed away. She's like, how do you talk to yourself in your head? I'm like, I talk to myself in my head. And she's like, yeah, listen, pay attention. And then I started hearing all the crap that I was telling myself. And she's like, okay, so every time you catch yourself, you need to reverse it. If you're saying you're stupid, you're dumb, you got to say you're smart. You know, you got to retrain your brain. You do have to become a friend with yourself.
Yeah. So same kind of question, but for people who have somebody in their life that's suffering from addiction, we get this a lot and we hear a lot, I want to support, I want to figure out how to help the people in my life that are suffering from addiction. I'm afraid I'm going to enable them. I don't know how to help them with and not feed their addiction. That's a common question that we get. And so what are some advice for people who have a family member or a child, a partner, someone in their life that they care about that is going through addiction? How can those people support that person and help them?
Like I said, I have children that struggle with addiction also, and I'm an AOD counselor. You know, I'm in recovery. I should know all the answers. This is a difficult question, but what I can tell people is, like, we can't make them want to get better. We cannot make them want to get better. What we can do is control, like, ourselves and be available when they do want to get better. If they're hungry, you know, if they're asking you for money, do not give them money, buy them food, you know, and educate yourself on addiction. If you're a family member that doesn't understand, go talk to a counselor and find out what it's all about and what you can do. That's a tough one. Personally, that's a tough one. Yeah.
How about you, Charlene? What can people do to support friends or family that are going through addiction?
I think when my grandma uses and my uncles use, and they live with her, and she gets mad at them, like, for using, and will yell at them and be like, you need to straighten up, and like you need to stop doing what you're doing, you know, you're like this old and you're still doing what you're doing, like, you need to stop. And I'm not sure if that helps, like, because they're still using, you know, but there's not a whole lot you can do, because, like, you can help the person all you want, like, but they have to help themselves, like, and so, like, it's limited, I guess you would say. And like like Yvonne said, be there when they're ready to get better, you know. That one is hard.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up on them.
One of the things we hear about addiction is how isolating it can be from people that you would have, your family, your friends, people. You start to isolate yourself, right? Or people start to isolate themselves from you because they don't agree with what you're doing and they don't know how to help you. So it sounds like, you can be there without enabling, like you're there, you're
Yes.
supporting them, you're listening to them, you're encouraging them, but until they're ready, that's all that's the most you can do. And educating yourself, I think, is a really good thing too, so that you understand what addiction is.
Yeah, and there's 12-step programs for family members of addicts, and that would be a positive thing too, to get some support yourself, because it's a challenging role to be in.
Yeah, and it sounds like you can't yell people out of addiction.
No.
If only that worked, right?
It sounds like Charlene's friends used that tough love on her and it worked, so that could be an option too, that tough love.
All right. So we talked a lot about, cycles of addiction that are out there. Yvonne, you brought it up. How are you a cycle breaker?
I don't think I'm a cycle breaker alone. I think that my grandchildren are never going to see me under the influence, so that's breaking a cycle. I think that I was able to help one of my children enter treatment. I don't know. I guess that's how I'm breaking the cycle. My mom doesn't use anymore. Her partner doesn't use anymore. I don't know if that was all me. I think it was like Creator working in our lives. But my grandbabies aren't ever going to see me. So the cycle's broken there. I buried my father and my brother, my younger brother, from alcoholism. My children are not going to have to go through that.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Charlene? How are you going to be a cycle breaker?
Well, since I already started using, I didn't if I didn't use, I think that I would have broken the cycle. But if I keep on not using and being a good role model for the people around me, then that could help. Yeah, and sometimes I don't think people are watching, but they are watching, and it's just you have to be a good person, I guess. But yeah.
You're a cycle breaker, Char. You're a cycle breaker.
And you're young still, so you're not thinking about, future kids or, young cousins, nieces, and nephews probably too much yet either.
But they're watching.
Yeah. And it makes a difference, definitely. So how do you recommend people get involved and be part of the solution in our communities?
Well, I think you're doing a really good job by offering this platform to our community. Are you talking about people in recovery getting involved and make
anyone? How do we get our community to be a cycle breaker as well? Really, how do we?
I think if our community could look at addicts in a different light, reduce that stigma. I think that if we could honor people in recovery, because it takes a lot. Different agencies, I think it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be brought up more. There needs to be more love, period. period.
How about you, Charlene? How would you like to see the community get involved in being a cycle breaker and helping on this issue?
I agree with you on like talking about it, you know, and having more things like this, and you know, and make it more available to everyone, like, because people may not have like a phone or like Facebook, you know, and yeah. And I want to either become a like a parole officer, a juvenile parole officer, or a like a regular police officer, and work my way up to detective. But I think that is one way. They don't have to do that, but like maybe if you're really passionate about it, be in that line of work, I guess, you know, like but yeah.
So
I'm
law
not-
enforcement being more helpful to people than just punishing, right? Is kind of your goal there with helping? Yeah.
I'm not sure who does it, but before COVID, like they have a big barbecue picnic over at Sequoia Park for, you know, it's the treatment centers here locally, some clean and sober houses, and it's like a day of recovery. You know what I mean? Like just to honor people, you know what I mean? We have all kinds of parades and all kinds of things, like really get out there and like, hey, you guys are doing it. And giving, the community needs to give, you know, people in recovery a chance too.
Right. Break that stigma.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. All right. So I just want to remind people that you can ask questions in the chat because we're getting towards the end of my list of questions. So if you have questions, make sure to get them out so we can get these ladies to answer them for you. So the last couple questions are kind of about hope for the future and where you wish that we were going. But the first of that is like, what do you see right now that is really inspiring to you in this work? What inspires you?
Charlene inspires me. Like, to be completely honest, Charlene inspires me. The youth are inspiring to me today, stepping up and talking about, you know, their stuff and asking for help. The youth inspire me.
I would say Yvonne and Jamie, you know, like they're inspiring, you know, and the people in NA who like keep coming back, you know, and the newcomers right now, because it is really hard, you know, and people who like step up and do these types of things because it is like intimidating. Yeah.
You're inspiring yourself right now.
She is.
All right. So my last question is the magic wand question. So if you were granted this magic wand and one wish, you could either create something, change something, you know, you can do whatever you want with this magic wand, except for wish for 100 more wishes. We'll take that one off. But what would you do with that magic wand?
Who's going first? Okay. We have this conversation in our house quite often. So for me, the magic wand would create a treatment center big enough, a native-based treatment center, so that our communities can heal together as families, you know, with all of the things that we need to get better, you know, and it's free. like a free treatment, you know, like that building.
What,
So that we can heal
all of
ourselves.
those things? What are some
Yeah.
of all of those things that you would like there?
Oh my gosh, I would like a garden there. I would like animals there. I would like vehicles to be able to take us to the rivers. I would like, you know, places for mothers and children to get back together and reunite. Just all types of things.
Awesome. You gotta say it to manifest it.
Yeah, like that's the long-term goal somehow. And then to be able to travel around also and like spread it to different communities.
Mhm.
That's the dream.
It's a good one. How about you, Charlene? You think of your magic wand?
I would, well, I think a big problem is that people don't, like, they don't realize that they have to work on themselves to get better, you know? So I would, my magic wand would, like, I don't think that's a good one, but that's what I do, like, have people realize that. And I guess to bring
I like
out,
that.
yeah.
You would just like bop them on the head and they would like realize.
Or if you could do the magic wand to where there was no more like abuse and trauma and people don't have to experience all these pains so that there wasn't ever addiction. That would put me out of a job, but I would be okay with that. You know, that would be the magic wand. But then again, if there was no addiction, there's no struggle to become who you are today. Like, who would I be if I never went through the stuff that I went through already? So I don't know. That's a kind of a trick question, young lady.
Yes. All right. So I'm just going to check in with folks and see if there's any questions. Are there any questions on Facebook that have come up? Just give a couple seconds for. No. All right. I'm seeing a lot of kudos in the chat though. So a lot of thank yous, great stories, so inspiring, things like that. And I agree. I want to thank you both definitely for being here. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you, or anything that you want to plug or promote that's happening that you're involved with?
So I definitely want to, you know, for people that are out there still struggling, you know, Two Feathers, where I work, we offer a bunch of services. We do live streams. Virgil Moorhead, he's doing this great series, this almost every day. We also have like groups like I was talking about. We have a Red Road group, which is kind of, it's like a native 12-step. We have that going on. We have a women's talking circle, a men's talking circle, all ages. Two Feathers is doing some amazing stuff. And United Indian Health, where my husband works, they are seeing people. Like right now, you can have in-person visits. So call, make an appointment, get over there and be seen and start your journey. And my best wishes to everybody out there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Charlene, anything you want to add that I didn't ask you, or any activities or things coming up that you want to let people know about?
No, but I will say to not give up and to, you know, ask for help. Yeah. And thank you for letting me be here today.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. It was really, you're both very inspiring and very, even though you were both very nervous in the beginning, you did a great job and you just let your stories come out, which is great. And I appreciate it so much. So thank you both for being here, and I'll let you guys go while I finish things up over here. So have a good one. And I'm just going to share my screen again. And we're going to go through just a few things. There's Yvonne right there still. So just a reminder that this is going on for the whole rest of the month. We'll be closing up on June 30th or July 30th. It's July right now. So you can register at Eventbrite, and that information is right there. You can also follow us on Facebook at the Wellness and Recovery page or our RX Safe Del Norte page and find out more about events. We have our Wellness Art Challenge. So this is something I encourage people to participate in. We're not judging you on your art abilities. We just want to hear what your wellness activity is. You can put a photo in, you can get creative, put a video, draw a picture, and it's open for all age groups. And we have specific prizes for younger and older folks out in our community. So make sure you tag us in that. You can post it, you can email it, you can put a picture and put it in our chat and put it out there. Our series is full for the rest of the month. For the most part, we're going to probably be adding a few things here and there, and we'll let you more about that. But this calendar is up on our Facebook page and on our Eventbrite page, so you can check that out and see what things are coming up. And again, thank you to Yvonne and Charlene. I really appreciate you guys being here today and being a part of our Wellness and Recovery series. It's so important for us to hear lived experience stories and to really center this work around the experience of people who have suffered from addiction and to understand the struggles and the successes and really celebrate recovery, like they said. So thank you again, and I celebrate your guys' recovery right now. And please don't forget to fill out that eval form. The link is there, and it will be in the chats as well. So go ahead and put that in the, if Malaya or Phil could put that link in the Zoom chat as well, that'd be fantastic. And I wanna, and you guys are, make sure and join us next week. We got some really great stuff coming up. We got Dr. Katie Castle, and is our first one starting out on Tuesday with United Indian Health Service. And then we have Yvonne's husband is going to be talking with us next week too, so you can hear from both sides of the family. So join us next week, and we hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.